everyone. This week we have 3 horror stories in honor of the Halloween holiday coming up. The very first one is an original series that has been getting amazing reviews all over YouTube. Not to mention it scores very high on critic websites, and I'm sure you've already heard about it. It is The Haunting of Hill House. It's very well done for a horror story, a horror series, and there are 10 parts. I watched the whole thing in one night. It was just too good to stop watching. Always check your availability for anything that I talk about. It might not be available in your area. Okay, now the story is extremely well crafted throughout the entire series. There's some seriously spooky moments.
There's something down here. Just hang on, I'm trying. Come on. Theo!
I genuinely felt dread and terror and was like just holding my breath a couple of times. And it doesn't just show it in the beginning of the series. It keeps the tension up throughout the entire, throughout the entire duration of the whole series. So anyway, a young family with 5 younger children, mom and dad, have just moved into a massive mansion. The parents are flippers, so they bought this house in order to renovate it so that they could make a profit out of it later on. The house is like 100 years old, over 100 years old, and so it's genuinely like a landmark, okay, because it's so old. And this mansion flip was supposed to be the one flip that was going to set the family off for the rest of their lives as well off, and they were going to build their own like beautiful home together and all kinds of future plans. However, the house had something else in mind. The children begin experiencing strange and frightening events. The father, being the good rational man that he is, would offer rational explanations. It's the pipes, or you were just still dreaming. Any kind of rational explanation as to what the children might have experienced or seen, or anything of that nature. One tragic night, the children are awoken to be whisked away by their father. That night, their mother is found dead from apparent suicide. 20 years later, the children are adults, and we learn what lasting effects the hauntings had on all of them. The twin children, the youngest, have had the hardest time adjusting to adulthood and to life in general. At this point in the story, the house begins to beckon for their return. I'll stop there. This is an awfully good series, and if you're into horror, then you do not want to pass this series up. If you want more insight into the haunting of Hill House, there are countless videos on YouTube that go in depth. I love it. For horror, I give this series 3 full strawberries. Next! The next offering is actually not a Netflix original at all. It was only released on Netflix, however. It's actually produced by Blumhouse. The name of the movie is 7 in Heaven. It's listed as a horror movie. However, I was not scared or creeped out at all. The story is there's a kid throwing a moving away party. Friends from school show up. They look around the house to come across a closet that the kid moving didn't even know existed in his own home. The kids at the party decide to play the game 7 Minutes in Heaven. June and Jude are chosen, and 7 Minutes in Heaven is kind of a kissing game, but it's a game played by adolescents, older adolescents, and teenagers. And the 2 of them enter the closet, but after 7 minutes are up, they exit to a different dimension. Everybody looks the same, but apparently it's different. I did not like this movie. It's as if the writers were very lazy, forcing the audience to write the plot out in their heads. There are so many plot holes. Like, for example, what happens to the alternative version of them? The 2 go sneaking around in their own homes in this other dimension, and they also run around the city in the other dimension. They're doing all kinds of things, and they never, ever come across the other versions of themselves.
Jude! Jude, get down here!
And you go, where did the other versions go? Another question is that there are they that never get answered is what's up with the teacher? He like there's this teacher that somehow follows them and knows what's going on, and I don't know why he's there. I understand. I guess they must have needed a character like that to kind of like take charge of the situation, but it's just everything is just dropped in, and there is never any explanation offered as to why things are happening or how things are happening or anything of that nature. And so it's I don't know, maybe it's because I just came off of watching such a good series as The Haunting of Hill House. However, I honestly I don't feel that it should have been this bad. Um on the actual like Metacritic and things like that of that nature, there's no score for this. And I also saw on a rating for it only on IMDb, and the rating for it is 5.4 out of 10. So it's pretty low. It's pretty low. And maybe the story isn't supposed to be that complicated. It is rated at PG-13, but come on, I've seen some PG-13 movies that are pretty good. So I don't understand what was so hard about this one. Anyway, I didn't like it, and I want to say don't waste your time watching it, but you can watch whatever you want. I'm just here to warn you that it does have a pretty low score, and it's just not entertaining. It's not even scary. Okay, so I don't even know why you would watch it. It's listed as horror. It's not even freaking scary at all. So anyway, I give it 0 strawberries. Let's just move on. Let's move on. All right, the last original movie I will add to this review is the Indonesian horror story Kuntilanak. Again, you may want to check availability for it in your area. Indonesia tells some great horror stories. I mean, some of the really good horror games out there come from Indonesia. This movie has a well-balanced blend of humor, childhood innocence, and scares. It is listed as a horror, of course, obviously, and that's what you get. You get some pretty horrific scenes. It's about a group of once orphaned, now adopted children living within their new home with their new mom. The 5 children have their differences and disagreements. However, when a cursed mirror finds its way into their home, the children work together figuring this curse out. The mirror calls forth the Kuntilanak. She is a monster that steals children's souls, trapping them in the mirror world. The children need to rely on their love for one another to protect their fragile family and send the Kuntilanak away. This was a fun movie, actually. It was, which is weird to say about horror, but I think horror can be fun. It's not as deep as The Haunting of Hill House, and it's worlds better than Seven in Heaven, and it's just deeply appreciated. So it falls somewhere in the middle. The children were very good at acting, and they were incredibly believable, especially the little girl who plays Dinda. She did a wonderful job. She has a lot of potential. So my score for Kuntilanak is a horror genre is 2 out of 3 berries. Okay, that's it for this week's multi-review. Again, these offerings are The Haunting of Hill House, Seven in Heaven, and Kuntilanak. If you have not yet done so, please be kind, hit the subscribe, be the light, and click the like. And it's so well to turn on the bell. I love you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!